Tomorrow, we begin the last week of the game. Let's waste no further time and get right into it. Tomorrow is both significant and not so significant at the same time. You'll see why once we get into it. And still tired. Last week of school, I guess. You don't really realize that that's kind of the way of salvation that they're actually preaching. And that is the exact way of thinking that makes Nyx even stronger. Although, speaking of apathy syndrome, I've always been wondering whether or not it and mental shutdowns in Persona 5 are the same thing. Wow, really? Oh, well, yeah, everyone's being driven out by all this. This, I find, is actually one of the more surprisingly heartwarming moments in this game, so let's stay for it. It's just, I wouldn't expect to get such a moment out of a character who doesn't even have a portrait, but it's just really just hits in just how everything's coming to an end.
Let's begin, shall we?
And we also have a plot event today.
I don't have much to say, though. In the end, it's your decision. All right, first question. Are you planning on going to college after you graduate, or entering the workforce?
At this point, I'd say Gary Stu's a little undecided.
Well, you still have another year until you graduate. It's okay if you still haven't decided. Just don't put it off for too long. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this decision is yours and yours alone. If someone else makes it for you, you'll regret it later. And then you'll have to live with the consequences, whatever they may be.
Are you sure you're Miss Toriumi, or are you actually Feros from the beginning of the game?
But to be honest, I'm quite confident in you. You've really matured over this last year. I'm sure you're aware of it as well. What do you think has helped to bring about this change the most?
With all the jokes that I've made about this protagonist so far, I do feel like he has matured over the course of this journey, and I think it's thanks to the people he's met. This option, yeah, the fact this is even an option still hits pretty hard, but I like to think this is why.
I see. Well, whatever the reason, you should be proud of the young man you've become. That's all for now. I hope you have a successful senior year. Let's see. Who's next? Ah, Aiga-san. Would you mind letting her know? Thank you.
I suppose the Gary Stu of the past would take that opportunity to immediately confess that he was Tatsuya in that online game, but I guess he's not really interested at this point.
I'm sorry I went off on my own. When I finally calmed down after New Year's, I realized something. When I fought Ryoji, I got really scared when my consciousness began to fade. But that wasn't all. I was also confused and embarrassed when I realized I couldn't defeat him. But I couldn't defeat him 10 years ago either, and I didn't have those feelings then. I really have changed.
You have.
I've been thinking a lot about this change that's occurred in me. You know, in the past, if I didn't understand something, I would just ask someone to explain it to me. But since I've decided to live, no one's been able to answer the questions I've been facing.
Only you can.
However, there is one thing I've come to understand. The reason why I wanted to be close to you was so I could monitor death. But even though death is gone now, I still want to be by your side. I still don't know what it means to live yet, but I want to learn the answer, and I think I can if I'm with you. So please take me with you. I may not be strong enough, but I'll fight with you to the end. Please. Thank you.
I've said it before, but Aegis's growth in the last part of the game really sums up its general themes to me in a way. The fact that she was only afraid of fading now that she's started to gain emotions and connections, it really just goes to show in a lot of ways, part of the reason humans are afraid to die is they're afraid of leaving the ones they love behind. Yeah, we should all have big plans at this point. Speaking of plans, the reason why I said today is important and not important at the same time, there's that plot event, but we don't have any social link to do today. Now, originally I had a plan today, and then I realized that it actually wouldn't work. So if we talk to people whose social links we've already maxed out, we can't do anything further. I was under the impression that we could spend more time with certain characters whose links we've maxed. This is true, but it's not of non-romantic links. If we do talk to Yukari here, we actually do get the option to spend more time with her. What I was actually planning on doing today, though, was to spend time with Kenji, because he was the first social link that we started in the game, and I thought it was only fitting to revisit that at the end. But it seems like that's not possible, and even if it was, he's not even at school today. So, really, there is nothing much else to do at this point, except to go to Polonium Mall and submit Lucifer for weapon fusion. Which seems like a bit of a weird tangent to go on, but that needs to be done sometime, and it should preferably be done today, because time is very quickly running out, and there's another weapon fusion that I want to do before the very end. So, I'll just quickly do this. Doesn't really matter which we use here. So yes, for this we get Sword made from a fallen angel's jewels, the true ultimate one-handed sword, and in my opinion one of the only things that Lucifer is good for. So yeah, 2 days, that means that it will be ready on the 27th. While I'm here, I just want to quickly check out what the police station is selling. Now, you are very quickly running out of time to buy stuff from here. So now is... Oh, okay, you got a discount. In fact, now might be a good time to do that, actually. Firstly, though, I want to sell a bunch of stuff, so I'll just cut back after I've sold a lot of things. Now that I have all of the ultimate weapons, well, except for one of them, there's really no reason to keep most of these weapons. I don't think I've actually shown those before, I might as well do that. Okay, so as you can see, we now have almost 4 million yen, and I've, yeah, sold quite a lot of things there. Papillon method, I still don't like the magic boost on Aegis. I might as well get that, though. Okay, that's got an unknown effect. Might as well just get a bunch of these. Let's not equip that yet. Because I was not that lucky in getting good armor in Monad, so... And seeing as I'm kind of unlikely to get the Armor of Light by the end of the game, I'm just going to buy a bunch of these for everyone I'm going to bring to the final battle. Dark Dog Suit. For some reason I feel like Koromaru is actually, like what he currently has is not that much worse than this, so... Kind of fine with that. Yeah, he currently has Powered Dog Suit. It's only a few more points of defense high. Yeah, I don't really need that. Okay, so after a detour there, I should probably buy some stuff from the pharmacy, but I could do that on Saturday when they're having a sale. Insert Dokapon Kingdom references here. For now, though, there's really not much to do today except just go back to the dorm. I mainly just want to quickly get to the final ranks of Aegis' social link, because that is the last one we need. And seeing as we've never done this before, this tutorial is popping up now. We go back into the dorm, it automatically becomes nighttime. In general, you do not want to do this at all, ever. But now, though, we don't really have much else to do with our time.
Hi, how was your day?
Well, it was actually fairly interesting. Stop being such a downer, Fuka. Aegis is ready. And we are going to win. It's a bit of a weird metaphor, but it works. Definitely right. I wonder what Ken will be doing in the future. Well, you know, some people make jokes during hard times to lighten the mood. Definitely need to spend our time wisely. Well, it kinda is, but at this point... Oh, I love those lines from Aegis there. This does work as a metaphor on several levels here. It's a little weird, but, I mean, hey, that's Junpei for you. So, well, I suppose we should just maximize our arcade time at this point in the game, because we don't have much longer. Gives more reason to hear this song, though. And I still, for the life of me, can't really remember. Did have a feeling that it was Punching Bag today, though. So let's see who wants strength. Oh, right, I still have Koryu. I'll go for Shiva this time. Well, let's do something about that tiredness. Not that it's really going to matter at this point, because we're not going to Tartarus until we've maxed out Aegis' social link. Because there's one more thing that we need to get done there. One more set of requests. If this was the vanilla version of the game, I'd be done with those requests by now. But in this version, well, I mean, if this was the vanilla version of the game, then I'd no longer be done with social links. In fact, in that version, from what I've seen, you actually max out Sun on the very last day of the game. That's how tight the schedule is there. Her quotes here don't really seem to change that much. Although coming up is the rank where you need a matching persona, so at this point you probably should have at least one Aeon persona fused. Make sure you have it with you before rank 9. Well, Kenji's here today, I guess we can hear what he has to say. But yeah, no more spending time. So, this time, we're going to the roof, and one thing I love about this social link is that the music does not change here. That's not true. And you should know it by now. Oh. Ah. Well, this is a difficult question. This is the one that will give you the most points with her, though. But, oh boy, this is kind of harsh at this point in the game. Well, I mean, there's definitely grounds for that. You can actually say either thing here. It doesn't matter. That may not be true. There's no message at all before the rank up this time. One of the very, very rare cases of that in this game. But for now, the Aeon Arcana has reached level... We're at level 8 for this Arcana now. It's hard, the issues that she's struggling with at this point. I suppose something that I should mention here, because I promised to earlier, is that this is pretty much the same if you're playing as the female protagonist in Portable, except that she also has additional angst for, yeah. Only slightly, though. Well, that's ominous, considering what's coming up. Not actually sure how rare or common that phenomenon is in real life. So I don't think anybody at the dorm tonight says anything different. Yeah, I think they're all saying the same kind of stuff. So, once again, back to the arcade. Actually, let's check what the Aeon social link looks like at this point. Huh. When I first read that, I was like, what? But yeah, it makes sense when you think about it, but at first it's like, wait, what? Does that mean she doesn't want to live or something? Anyway, another stop at the arcade. I get the feeling today is, well, it's obviously either magic or agility, but at first I thought magic, and now I'm thinking it's probably agility. Let's see which one of the two it is. It is agility, okay, I actually had a feeling that it was. So, who wants some agility? Might want to try and boost... This seems a bit weird, but I kind of don't want to ruin those even stats there. So, I'm going to boost the agility of... Yeah, I'd probably rather you. I mean, there's certain other personas that I want to take to endgame that I would like to boost the stats of, but we don't actually have them yet. I could have one of them by this point, but I'd like to save that for the final Tartarus visit. Okay, the weapon should be ready today. But we do have another rank up with Icus to do. And this is the one where you want a matching persona for it. Should be one of the last times that we get a lunchtime scene, actually. Because we're almost done with everything. Yeah, the line doesn't actually change here. Don't think it changes for the next rank either. But yes, this is the one that you need a matching persona for. So, this time, when it says this, they really, really mean it. And the lowest level persona of this Arcana is Uriel, so level 61. I mean, at this point, you're probably above that point, but still, can be a little tricky to fuse. It is a little bit jerkish how every other rank until this one is always guaranteed to go up, kind of like Sun. But this one, you actually need a matching persona bonus for. Oh right, wait, except rank 7, which you got no points for and needed to spend time. Yeah, every day is just slightly different from each other. Icus does say some very profound things. And that's actually about to get even more to that extent, you'll see. And here, the only option that matters here is your right. This gives 15 points normally, we need 22 for the next rank, and that just so happens to be the amount that we get with a matching persona bonus, so this will put us at rank 10. I was there for my cats. And this is going to add a whole new level of angst because Icus is effectively immortal as well. She'll have to part with everyone eventually. Since when did you become a poet, Icus? And I guess becomes the second one to say that after Yukari, although Fuka said that back in her Christmas Eve date as well. And this one kind of follows the scheme of Persona 5 social links in turning romantic at rank 9. Or at least kind of. Something that I do want to mention with this link that I find kind of interesting, which I have alluded to before. This is one of the few times where I'm actually okay with social links being always romantic in this game, because rejecting her at that point would probably be extremely painful. I do like the way they express that, though it does
Where have you
come
been?
quite late into the link. What I wanted to point out, though, is that even though Igus has expressed her love for us, we didn't get a "she might get jealous if you go out with another girl" message. This is why I believe that this social link is actually not affected by jealousy mechanics. And there's also another reason that we won't find out once we hit rank 10 that I also want to show, that kind of shows that in some ways, despite that rank, purely from a gameplay mechanic standpoint, Aeon does not count as a romance. Wow, okay, that's getting really bad. Really, really bad. And of course, if we don't succeed, she'll never have a chance to heal. Must have been... Mitsuru probably would have had to have paid off the teachers there, because they might have had some weird questions after that. So yeah, I guess that's a different quote today, but Ken does not. Mitsuru does not. Junpei doesn't. Does Yukari have a different quote? No, she doesn't. So yeah, kind of weird that I guess has a different quote, but no one else does. And Akihiko doesn't either. So once again, I'm going to go to the arcade, but this time we actually do have a reason to go here as well, because we need to pick up that weapon. Hopefully I was right about the dates. I won't be able to work on the next weapon fusion until tomorrow, and thankfully there is exactly enough time left in the game to get that done. You can probably tell what's going to be the component of the next weapon fusion as well. It's by far the most annoying one in the game because of how late that you can do it. So, please tell me I had the dates right. There we go. Okay, we now have, effectively, Garisu's ultimate weapon. Even though he can use any of them, in the PSP version, that is the only one of them that he can use. Lucky Fortune. Okay, who needs magic? I've mentioned this before, but for the female protagonist, I believe that it's... I think it's Kartakeya who has the female protagonist's ultimate Naginata. Speaking of the female protagonist, I should probably mention that, yeah, some people consider Igus a... Well, I mean, it's actually pretty blatantly obvious, so... Shouldn't really be saying some people, but Igus is sometimes considered a same-sex romance option for the female protagonist in Portable. Elizabeth as well, because in Portable you can choose between Elizabeth or Theodore as the Velvet Room assistant. I haven't actually mentioned Theodore very much, but I guess I should probably talk about him eventually. But if you choose Elizabeth, that is effectively another same-sex option for the female protagonist. Actually not sure if her events proceed in exactly the same way as they do for the male, but I don't know. Anyway, last class is Mrs. Toriumi. Oh yeah, final exams, which we're not going to have a chance to do because the final battle's before them. Now, we're going to stay awake here, because she's got some pretty important things to say. Once again, we're getting pretty much direct summaries of the themes of, well, not just the game. What she just said could easily be the theme of the whole series. And that academics boost is pointless at this point in the game, but it was worth it to hear that. And this will be the last time we have a lunchtime scene. Yes, we are free today. I just wanted to let that music sink in because that was the last time we'll be hearing it. So, it's time to finally put it all to an end. The last social link rank up of the game. Let's go. As is the case with most female social links in this game, though in this case it's a little unique. This is the one room that we never actually saw during the main story. And yeah, unique is a good way to put it. This probably isn't what I should be concerned about, but on the wall there it looks like she has a lot of copies of her uniform hanging up. Almost feels like she definitely doesn't need that many, but yeah. This line always struck me as weird though. What the heck is the point of those shells if they're blanks? Like, really? Like, it would make sense if she had shells everywhere because she needs the ammo for her finger guns. Just, why would she have crates of blanks lying around? Anyway, let's just put that aside. Actually, you know what, I just thought of something. Like, unless her weapons actually fire blanks and it's like Persona 5 in that they hurt shadows because shadows think they're real. Of course, that wouldn't explain why they work on Strega, but oh well. And this will be our last max social link item. That was actually quite recent. Part of her is with us now. With that, last bond that cannot be broken. We've done it. With the Aeon social link at its maximum level, we can now create Metatron, attendant to the infinites. Described in the compendium as one of the most important angels in the hierarchy, but also the most mysterious, Metatron is an archangel mainly mentioned in Judaism. There isn't any official mention of him in the Bible, but some suspect that he is the ascended form of Enoch. And remember in Sandalphon's bio when I mentioned that he had a brother? Metatron is that brother. The origins of his name are a source of a lot of debate. Some take it as coming from the Greek words for literally behind and throne, meaning the one who stands behind the throne of God. Others say it comes from the word for measurer, and some also think it comes from the Hebrew word for keeper of the watch, or to guard or protect. Many traditions consider him the chief scribe of heaven, and the mouthpiece of God. Some say that 1,000,000 eyes and mouths cover his body, each mouth speaking a different language. In FES, Metatron is the ultimate persona of the Aeon Arcana, but in the vanilla version of Persona 3, he's actually just a regular Sun Arcana persona, which in some ways fits with his brother Sandalphon being Moon. In both versions, he requires a special 4-way fusion of the 4 archangels: Gabriel, Raphael, Michael, and Uriel. Though he is considerably easier to fuse in the vanilla version, where he didn't require you to max out a social link that only unlocks in the last month of the game, and you just barely have enough time to max out before the game ends. There are 2 main reasons why only being able to fuse Metatron this late is very annoying. The first is Elizabeth's fusion spell requests. Metatron has a fusion spell, Last Judge, but the request to perform that shows up much earlier than the requests for Trickster, Infinity, Armageddon, all of which can be done long before you have access to Metatron. This basically locks you out of completing all the fusion spell requests until very close to the end of the game. This, however, was not a problem in the vanilla version of Persona 3. What is definitely a problem exclusive to FES, though, is that Metatron has a weapon fusion. Metatronius, the ultimate gun in the game, otherwise known as Aegis's ultimate weapon. Weapon fusions take 2 days to make. See why this is annoying? Yeah, you've got a very short time window if you want Aegis's ultimate weapon. If you're following the guide, you pretty much have to submit Metatron in for weapon fusion almost immediately after maxing out the Aeon link, and even then the weapon won't be ready until 1 day before the final battle. Also, if you want a certain other weapon fusion that might be very useful, but also only opens up very late into the game, you need to fuse Metatron into a weapon right now, because the other one takes exactly 1 day, and at this point we have exactly enough time to perform both those fusions. I guess while we're on the subject of items, I should mention Metatron does have a hard item, the Book of Enoch, which doubles evasion against magical attacks. The problem with this is it's completely outclassed by Share Your, the Ultimate Tower Persona's hard item, which triples evasion against everything, so really there's no reason to go for this item. Now onto Metatron's actual skills, and these are very, very unique. Firstly, he's got pretty high stats across the board, and gets some powerful attacks in Megadolaon and God's Hand. Also, Auto Mataru, that's actually a very good skill, which surprisingly not a lot of endgame personas learn. There's also Last Judge, that fusion spell I mentioned before, which deals a lot of almighty damage to all enemies. In practice, it's only slightly stronger than Megadolaon, but still, it's one of the strongest fusion spells in the game that isn't Armageddon, so if you're opposed to that, then this is a good compromise. Metatron's real asset, though, is those 3 skills that he learns right at the end. Repel Ice, Repel Elec, and Repel Fire. Metatron already repels light, so with all 3 of these skills, you repel 4 elements. Oh, but the fun doesn't end there. Across his component personas, it's actually pretty easy to pass down Null, Repel, or Absorb skills for Slash, Strike, Pierce, Wind, and Dark. If you somehow, and by that I mean a huge amount of time spent on skill rerolling, manage to pass down all 5 of those to Metatron, along with his natural learn sets, you make Metatron immune to everything except Almighty. Unfortunately, this is what TV tropes would describe as awesome yet impractical for several reasons. 1, you only have access to Metatron right at the end of the game, so it's not like you really need a super invincible persona at this point. 2, it will use up all of Metatron's skill slots, so the only way you'll be able to deal damage while he's equipped is with your basic attacks. Thirdly, Repel is in a lot of cases worse than Null or Drain, because a lot of enemies at this point in the game absorb their own elements, so Repel actually helps them. That said though, having a totally invincible persona except to Almighty is still very, very fun, and it's actually surprisingly not that hard to pass these skills down to him. At the point I am with this file, I've got easy access with Absorb Wind and Repel Dark for Metatron. And with personas like Abaddon that naturally learn immunities to all physical elements, it shouldn't be too hard to pass those on to the 4 angels. I'm pretty sure this invincible Metatron method was actually developer intended, because in almost every game in the series that Metatron is fusible in, it is possible to do this. It's even easier in Persona 4 because they lumped all the physical things into just one element. And an invincible Metatron is a possibility in both Devil Survivor games as well. So in a lot of ways, Metatron is a very good reward for maxing out the final social link in the game. Oh. Okay then. I don't know if this was mentioned earlier, I think it was. This totally is not a metaphor for anything at all. What are you talking about? Well, this isn't the usual rank 10 social link scene, but, certainly feels like one. Especially if you say things like that. And that possibly makes it even weirder. Maybe don't do that. Gary Stu scores again. You know what? I think he's getting tired of that catchphrase by this point. I think he's starting to learn there's more to life than just waifus.
Sup, dude?
Kind of an interesting thing, because that rank 10 scene has the same music as the dorm, it just continues on here. And we actually are going to go tonight. Just check the TV quickly. Oh no, things are just... We thought things could not get any worse before. Now they're just cascading out of control. Sadly, that kind of thing does happen in Japan probably quite often. So, everyone actually has new dialogue today. Everyone's really summing up their reasons to keep fighting. Well, except for Kenny's talking about black coffee. I don't know. Hope the cult hasn't spread to where she is. going pretty well. And Mitsuru's still saying the same thing, but it's an important thing for her to say. And we will be going. No Koromaru walk tonight. Now, what I'm going to do in the next part is actually going to be kind of interesting. I won't be starting it at Tartarus. I'll actually be fusing Metatron before going, because there's a pretty good reason why I need to do that, and I'll discuss that in the next part. There's also one more thing that I want to show in the next part, and it is something very important. Our final reward for maxing out all the social links. What this playthrough has been building towards from the very beginning. So, look forward to that in the next part.